A Golden Visa creates a formal residency status. That's it. Banks don't underwrite visas. They underwrite structure, substance, transparency, and risk. The key question is, what does your structure need to do? Only once those questions are answered does it make sense to talk about a Golden Visa, not before. Golden Visa. Hardly any term shows up more often right now. In videos, in comments, in conversations with entrepreneurs. And almost always it circles the same questions. Uncertainty, a sense of losing control, and the idea of how to protect yourself and your assets as the environment tightens. The Golden Visa is often presented as the answer, as the solution, as something that promises security and freedom to act. But it doesn't work that way. Not because a Golden Visa is inherently wrong or useless. It's because people attack expectations to it that it simply cannot fulfill structurally. And those expectations routinely lead to bad decisions in real life. We need to talk about that. Why is this topic so prominent right now? Because the rules of the game are changing, politically, regulatorily, socially. Frameworks that were treated as stable for years are being reinterpreted. Tax burdens are rising. Transparency requirements are expanding. Excess options are being broadened. At the same time, complex interdependencies are increasingly reduced to simplistic narratives. A document becomes the shortcut. A visa becomes the apparent solution to structural questions. A Golden Visa becomes the exit, the protection, the all-in-one tool. That feels reassuring. But it often points people in the wrong direction. Because a Golden Visa does exactly one thing. It creates a formal residency status. It allows you to be present in a country and operate within this legal framework. That's it. A Golden Visa does not protect assets. It does not solve tax issues. It does not replace its structure. And it does not create functional banking. It's a component, not a system. If you don't draw that line cleanly, you end up with an illusion. The illusion that something fundamental has been handled, when in reality you've only purchased a status, a document, not a durable structure. Many of the expectations tied to Golden Visa programs today don't come from legal reality. They come from simplification, from marketing, from the understandable desire for clear answers in an increasingly complex environment. Security, freedom, asset protection. These terms get blended together, often not out of malice, but with real consequences. A Golden Visa does not answer an asset question. It does not answer a structuring question. It answers only one question: whether and under what conditions you are allowed to reside in a country. Everything else has to be clarified before that or alongside it. Let's look at two countries that are mentioned most often in the Golden Visa context: the United Arab Emirates and the United States. They are frequently compared as if they were two versions of the same concept. They are not. This is where it's worth doing a direct comparison. Not by country branding, but by function. The first question is always, what does this Golden Visa actually mean for my residency? In the United Arab Emirates, the answer is straightforward. The Golden Visa creates residency viability. It gives you a formal long-term status that lets you live in the country, plan, and be economically active. It's not primarily about residency viability. It's about integration. An immigration status pulls you structurally into the US system, tax-wise, regulatorily, legally. Not selectively, but comprehensively. The next question is decisive for entrepreneurs. What does the Golden Visa mean from a tax perspective? In the UAE, the Golden Visa does not answer that, automatically create tax residency, and it does not resolve any prior tax questions. Your tax classification depends on other factors: physical presence, substance, and structure. The Golden Visa alone is not determinative. In the US, it's different. An immigration status inevitably triggers system-level tax linkage. The US doesn't think territorially, it thinks globally. If you are inside the system fully, that's not a side effect. That's the core logic. Next comes the structuring question. What does the Golden Visa mean for my business and asset structure? In the UAE, a Golden Visa can typically be integrated into existing structures with relative flexibility. It can be part of a setup without dominating it. It provides a residency framework, but it does not automatically dictate how your assets or companies must be organized. In the US, an immigration status is structurally defining. It influences how companies have to be set up, how participations should be held, and how assets are classified. Not optional, not incidental. And then there is the question many people underestimate. What does the Golden Visa mean for my freedom to maneuver? In the UAE, that freedom generally remains intact. The Golden Visa gives you options without locking you deeply into a system, provided the rest of your structure supports it. In the US, that freedom is narrower. System linkage brings security and stability, but also obligations. If you take that step, you have to take it consciously with a structure that can carry it. That's the crucial difference. The UAE Golden Visa is a residency component. The US equivalent is a system component. Either can be a smart move or a problem, depending on your starting point, your assets, and your entrepreneurial objectives. If you treat these instruments as interchangeable, you're making decisions based on false assumptions. What both models do shares something else. They are often sold as a solution, not as one component within an overall architecture, as the answer to everything. And that is exactly the problem. A Golden Visa changes nothing about your assets, nothing about your asset structure, nothing about your tax history, and nothing about your banking situation. Banks don't underwrite visas. They underwrite structure, substance, transparency, and risk. A Golden Visa does not replace functional banking, and it does not create it. You can hold multiple residency statuses and still have no stable access to banking. Not because of the visas, but because of the structure behind them. From the outside, it can look like everything is handled. In practice, it often isn't. A Golden Visa can be useful, but only if it serves a clear function with a sound structure. As a residency solution, as a planning instrument, as a formal framework, not as a substitute for structure. In many cases, a Golden Visa is secondary or even irrelevant. If assets are centrally concentrated, if banking is fragile, if the structure doesn't hold, then a Golden Visa does not solve anything. It simply shifts your attention away from the questions that actually matter. The key point isn't whether a Golden Visa is worth it. The key question is, what does your structure need to do? Where are your assets? How are they organized? How is your banking setup? And what role does residency status actually play within that? Only once those questions are answered does it make sense to talk about a Golden Visa, not before. If you realize your current situation relies more on documents than on structure, it's worth putting it into perspective, not through videos or rankings, but through a sober analysis of your actual starting point. That's exactly why we built our international check. It shows which components make sense in your situation and which don't. You will find the link in the video description.